Praise the Lord, my beautiful blessed souls. Back with another word, bruised and not broken. We are here today. This is Joshua chapter 24, and we are going to walk through it, but I just wanted to go through May 13th verse because I don't think I put it up today. And it says value. I'm going to read it. This is the daily word for today. Am I really that important to God? You may be tempted to measure your value on the basis of your performance or other external measurements, but your worth is rooted in the fact that you are created in God's image and loved as God's child. He loved you enough to die for you. That's how important you are to Him. God's response, God said, let us make people in our image to be like ourselves. Genesis 1:26. Then in Romans 8:15-17, it says, you should not be like cowering, fearful slaves. You should behave instead like God's very own children adopted into His family, calling Him Father, dear Father, for Him. His Holy Spirit speaks to us deep in our hearts and tells us that we are God's children. And since we are His children, we will share His treasures. For everything God gives to His Son Christ, it is ours too. Romans 8:15-17. Now Matthew 10:29-31 says, not even a sparrow worth only half a penny can fall to the ground without your Father knowing it. You are more valuable to Him than a whole flock of sparrows. Won't He do it? Amen. So I just wanted to share this with you guys, and that's the word I just read, if you can see it. And it's going to tie into the word we're talking about. We're going to see, because we are in Joshua chapter 24, and this is going to be a blessing. Why? Because it just is. We're going to get through it. Okay, so Joshua chapter 24, normally I would read it, but they say the videos are too long. Every time I try to make them smaller, it just is what it is. So Joshua chapter 24, we're talking about value, and we're talking about communication, all these things. Joshua chapter 24, this is concludes the life and the reign of Joshua, in which we have seen. So the great care and the pains that he took to confirm the people of Israel in the true faith and worship of God, that they might, after his death, persevere therein. In order to this, he called another general assembly of the heads of the congregation. So he gathered them together and dwelt with them. By way of narrative, recounting the great things that God had done for them. So this was his last, conversation, or, to them and their fathers before he dies. By the way of charge to them in consideration thereof to serve God. So by the way of treaty with them, wherein he aims to bring them to make religion their deliberate choice. And they did so with the reasons for their choice, to make it their determinate choice, and to resolve and to adhere to it. By the way of covenant upon that treaty, meaning the covenant that they already entered into. We had already talked about contracts, all those covenants, contracts. So this is what this is about. So the conclusion of history with them is the death and the burial of Joshua. And the mention of the burial of Joseph's bones upon the occasion, and the general account of the state of Israel at that time. So now we're going to get into it, and we're going to talk about what actually was going on at this time. Oh. So now let me see. Let me go back. Let me see. No. Because I had some questions about this, and it was a lot. So now I am finally... Okay. So no, this is the climax of the covenant, right? It's the final prophetic act of his last leadership moment right before he dies. It's his last generational charge, right? This chapter is not just a conclusion, because we end and we begin again, a new cycle. It's a lineage reset and a covenant renewal. That's what this is about, and a multi-generational ultimatum. So we're going to give you the full insight again, summary, and we're going to go into it. So the core summary about this is Joshua gathers all of Israel at Shechem. This is the same place where Abraham first received the promise. Remember that. So these are like the memorials, of what was going on throughout the bloodline. There's also where Jacob buried the foreign gods, right? It's also where the covenant identity was established. Joshua recounts Israel's entire history. This is the lineage breakdown. He's breaking it down from Abraham to Egypt to the wilderness to the conquest, showing that God alone brought them to this point, to this moment, meaning from where they were to where they are right now. Then Joshua issues a famous challenge: choose this day to whom you will serve. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. So the people vow loyalty to God. Joshua makes a covenant and writes it down and sets up a stone witness under a tree. These are the altars, the covenants, the contracts. These are the covenants. So the chapter ends with Joshua's death, Joseph's bones finally being buried in the promised land, and Eleazar's death as well. So it is the closing of one era and the sealing of a covenant lineage. And then they're going to begin, their new cycle of being there. So this is the end of one thing. And so he recounts all of what happens. And this is the remembrance part. This is the memorial. And it's very important to know where you came from, to be able to know where you are and how you got there, so that you can then figure out where it is you're going or want to go. So now, we're going to look into this. Joshua retells the entire history because identity requires memory, like I just said. Covenant requires context. Lineage requires narrative, right? Why? Because people say, oh, we got there on our own. There was a lot of people that helped you along the way. Be thankful and appreciative for those folks that helped you along the way. You see what I'm saying? Because you may not be where you are if you didn't have some type of support. And a lot of us seem to think we did it on our own. No, we did not. Now, it may have been less people, yes, but we have people that we do need to thank and be appreciative of them. That's where the memory comes in, of remembering where it started. It started with Abraham. It started with Adam and Eve. You see what I'm saying? So you don't know how you got there if you don't go back. You got to go back and see the history of what's been going on. And that's the appreciative part of it, because you don't appreciate nothing. Because a lot of times when you don't go through nothing, you don't appreciate what someone else went through to give you what you got. And that's why you have to be thankful and in remembrance of it. Remember Joseph, remember, all of these ones that came before you, because this is who God established the original stuff with. And then it just happened to trickle down to you. You are getting the blessings because of them. Why? Because they were already in covenant with God. So, this is the memory restoration ceremony. So, identity requires memory, covenant requires context, and lineage requires a narrative, meaning what story. Everyone has a story in their family of what happened. We may not know all of it, but you go back as far as you can. And this is the problem too in a lot of our, lives. We don't really have a lot of that. It is important that we do get that. Okay, so now let's go on. A lineage that must choose its allegiance. Joshua forces a decision, meaning not emotional, not cultural, not inherited. It is not assumed. It is a conscious generational choice. Whose side are you going to be on? When you're talking about loyalty and, family or friends or allegiances, this is where trust, all this stuff is going to come in at. Why? Because we need each other. A conscious generational choice. This is the moment where a lineage says we break with the idols, meaning we break with those who had us in bondage. We break with those who, enslaved us, who mistreated us, who killed us off, who, were not for us, who were against our God, the one who loves us and who, took us in and cared for us, loved us. We're against them and what they stand for. We're against them and what, all they practice and do. Why? Because if we would have stayed with them, we would still be in bondage. That's number one. They didn't love us. They didn't care about us. They wanted to control. They wanted to dominate. The stuff, the practices that they do and believe in is wicked. It's evil. This is how we got here. We ended up being, in bondage because this is what their gods like, require, want. So we choose covenant and we choose God. So we break in with these people, places, things that's, no good for us, that is harmful to us. And we're going to stick with, who was loving, who was kind, who was good to us, who our God, who loved us, who called us, who created us, instead of these false ones, and being on Satan's side. A lineage that must renounce hidden idols. So Joshua exposes the truth. Even after all the miracles, some families still carry what? Ancestral idols. Cultural idols, emotional idols, generational idols. Joshua demands a purging. This is a lineage cleansing moment. Now remember, we were grown up in certain customs and cultures, depending on where you are in the world as well. And this will play a big part as to what you believe in and how you live in and govern your life. Why? Because depending on if you believe in, Kabbalah, or, if you believe in, Muslim faith, if you believe in Catholicism, this is what governs your life, how you marry, how you live, how you, so this is how this all starts. And because of that, it's going to, decide if you get married, if you don't, if you have many wives, if you, let your wife, wear hijabs or not. This is what this is going to be about. So yes, it is going to be very as far as when it comes to your life, it's going to be very involving, because depending on where you are, your ancestral idols, your cultural idols, and your emotional idols, your generational idols are going to rule and govern you. This is how you think. These are those thoughts, those habits, those patterns that are cycles. This is what this is about. Joshua demands a purge, and this is a lineage cleansing moment. You must get away from all of these things that are not of God. So, and we're going to look into it, because I wanted to look into the specific gods, what they look like, who they are, what they, stand for. And we're going to see where that comes in at. We're going to break it down. I don't know if I'm going to do it this one, because I still got some more digging to do. But yeah, we're going to look at them, because we need to see exactly what was going on. I'm nosy. I told you I'm nosy, so I like to know what's going on. So I'm going to keep digging. A lineage that must establish witnesses. Joshua sets up a stone witness. This is a spiritual pattern. Most of them, they, erected covenants, altars, whatever it was, memorials. So every lineage this is the spiritual pattern for them, to remember that this happened here and that happened there. And we have those certain times in our own lives, whether we like it or not. When we moved, when we grew, when we did this, when we had children, when we got married, when we finished college, when we opened up a business, bought a house, we have these memorial times. So every lineage needs memorials, every covenant needs markers, and every transformation needs witnesses. So this is what this is about. So this is the Joshua 22 altar principle. So they was taking it, they are repeating it on a national level now. I believe we went through that. So a lineage that must transition leadership. Joshua dies, Eleazar dies, Joseph's bones are buried. Finally, 3 generations close at once. So this is a closing. And we would look at the generations either within ourselves, and we think about our grandparents, ourselves, our children, their children. Those are the generations. You see what I'm saying? And we look at them. So this is a lineage transition chapter. The patriarch, the priest, the ancestor, they all find rest. This signals a new generation must now carry the covenant. And this is why lineage, this is why family, this is why, all of these things are so important. Why? Because in order to move on, you need to know what was already there, what you're supposed to be following, the blueprint, the pattern, and then know how to build upon it, because you don't want to tear up the blueprint. You want to add to it. You want to enforce it. You want to change it. You want to grow it. This is what this is about. And start new stuff for your own bloodline and lineage as well. So this is what this is about. Joshua 24, generational themes. Memory is a weapon against generational drift. Now, memory could be good things, and it has its goods and bads. Joshua retells the story to anchor the identity. He lets them see, hear, and know what was going on. Why? Because they need to, especially each generation going forward. And, the core values, the core, of the bloodline of what they stand for. Just like opening up the business, they have their morals, their principles, their ethics, their values. What are your family's generational morals and ethics, and what are you leaving behind? What are you passing on, the lineage, the inheritances? Are you leaving the same old dysfunction? Are you leaving the same old bondage? Or are you leaving freedom? Are you leaving them with, transformative things to change, to grow, and to build upon new things? If everyone was broke and poor and didn't finish school, having babies, are you going to leave that? If everyone is in and out of jail and just, doing certain things, are you going to continue to pass that down, or are you going to be the one to start something different? This is what this is about. Because no one wants to continue. How will the bloodline succeed? How would it succeed and continue on if we continue these practices, these dysfunctional ones that are not helpful, that are destroying the lineage, destroying us? Oh, I'm hot. I'm sorry. Bit by bit and piece by piece in here. I'm a little hot. I had to turn my AC on because it's hot in here. You see, I'm starting to sweat. I hope you can hear me over it, because I know it gets to be loud with that thing. But anyway. So now you want to leave inheritance. You don't want to be selfish and stingy. You want to leave dysfunction. You want to leave unity. You want to leave bonds. You want to, show them something different. Oh my goodness, it's sounding really loud. I think I'm going to turn it off because it sounds a little loud and I don't want it to cloud me out. But I am sweating. 2, covenant must be chosen, not inherited. See, because every generation must decide. They must choose which way they're going to go. Just like what God requires us to choose which way. Are you going to choose the way of the street in the world? You're going to continue the cycle of drinking and smoking and partying and hanging out and having babies and out of wedlock and no money, no nothing. You just look like money, but you don't really have nothing. Are you going to continue that? Or are you going to do something different? Are you going to be the one that, gets married? The one that, before you have a baby and choose yourself and go to school and learn and get your life together before what are we going to do now? You know what I'm saying? Because either we're going to continue where we were or we're going to move forward. I've always told my children, don't be like I was. Don't do the things that I did. Why? Because if I already did it, why would you walk down that same path? There's no reason for you to go down the same path I did. I went down the hanging out, partying path. I found myself, I got myself into a lot of stuff. I don't want that for y'all. I've been there and done that, so you don't have to. So I want you to do something different, But it's up to them to choose it. You can't force them. You can't make them. It's their choice as to what they want to do. And so also, and God gives us the same thing. This is him being a parent to us and showing us, which way to go. Idols must be confronted, not tolerated. Hidden idols sabotage lineage destiny. And the idols, remember, are what they worship. Now, oh crap. If you're worshiping people, places, and things, and this is what you do, this is what you've been doing, this is what you like to do, this is going to be a problem. Why? Because if this is what you have always done, then chances are it's going to be hard for you to come out of that in particular bondage, because if that's all and it's not about not having things, because you want to have things, you want to leave lineage, you want to leave things behind, but you don't want to make idols and gods of it. You don't want to worship it and, have it be your end or be all. So this is what, God is talking about when he's talking about these things. It's not that you can't have money. It's not that you can't be blessed. It's not that you can't, but will you sell your soul for it? Will you put it above any and all else? Is this your God? And you can tell by the way you worship it. If you have made it your all, end all, be all, then yes. That might be, this thing on ponytail, honey. You know what? Because I'm about sick of this thing. I didn't want to be bothered with this. I had put it up because it's hot, and now it's starting to come out, and I was just getting on nerves. Anyway, I apologize for this. Ooh, I had already did this. I'm trying not to be. Okay, so now we're going to go on. What this one says. So 3, idols must be confronted and not tolerated. So when we look at this is what this is about. Why? Because this is the reasons why they were cursed in the first place. These other guys, these other religions were showing them how to do all of these things that God told them not to. And this is what, they ended up doing anyway. So this is how all of this came to be. It came to pass. And we know for ourselves that, Satan and his folks taught them all of this stuff that they weren't supposed to know. I know they were talking about, what was it? They were talking about aliens and some other stuff recently. And there are no aliens. We have talked about this before on this channel. There are no aliens. There's just them demons that were here before that comes back from time to time. And that's what that is. But anyway. This ponytail is because I'm sick of it. All right, so now witnesses protect future generations. This is memorials preserve identity, right? So even with the idols, they, even with the worshiping of the other gods, they have their, stuff that they do. They memorials that they serve, their identities, they have all of that as well. So memorials preserve identity depending on where you are and what you're doing. So either you're over there still with the gods and worshiping them, or you're over here with the Lord and you're doing what he has asked you to do, which is to get away from them because they're evil and they're wicked. And this is what this is about. So Joshua 24, the declaration reset. So identity, my lineage remembers its story. So this is what we're talking about. And when we talk about our own lives and our own stories in our own lives and where we come from and, how we got to be here and what's going on in our lives. That's what's that about, and this is on both sides of your family, but a lot of times we really don't know a lot of what we need to be knowing, because a lot of times this is what I've known in this generation is they don't have a whole lot of, they kept a lot of secrets, I would say. And because they did that, we don't know a lot about what went on with us and our families. And that's really not a good thing. And a lot of times with Black families, because, slavery and all of that, there is a lot of, stuff that we don't know because of that as well. And that will be the reason why. But okay, so now we're going to look at, okay, now we're going to look at, what is this next one? Leadership transitions, right? They must be intentional. Why? Because as we see, whoever was passed down, the leadership was passed down. It's intentional because we need leaders that's going to lead. We need leaders that's going to be able to handle whatever it is God is allowing to go forth. And we need them to be able to bear the burden because being a leader is responsibility. Okay? And we talked about that with the men and them being leaders and them supposed called to lead as their job to be, the head and not the tail. And so this is what this is. So now we're going to get to a declaration saying identity, my lineage remembers its story. My identity is rooted in covenant, not culture. I am part of a chosen, set apart people. I choose the Lord with clarity and conviction. My house serves the Lord. My lineage is aligned with God's purpose. So that's identity, that's choice. Purity is I renounce every hidden idol. I break with generational patterns that oppose God, right? My lineage is cleansed and consecrated. Witness. I establish memorials that protect my future generations. My transformation is recorded and witnessed. My lineage will not forget who we are. So because that's, important transition. I honor the generations before me. Why? Because we should. I carry the covenant forward with strength and I am generational bridge. This is why when it comes to our parents and stuff, we still got to honor them. We still got to regardless because they carried stuff that we didn't carry. Okay, and some of them carried it well, and some of them did not. Either way, okay, it was before our time. We always must respect the ones who came before us because they paved the way for you to get to where you are. Without them, you wouldn't be here. So there's still a certain level of respect that we need to have. And in this generation, we don't see a lot of that. We see, the older people just considered to be dinosaurs. They're not respected. You see that a lot. Whether it's the parents, whether it's elders, it's like the respect level and the dishonor nowadays with this next generation that we have. It's just ridiculous. It's on extra. It is no reason for it because you can disagree without being rude, without being disrespectful, without being dishonorable. You can say no, you can have your differences, but you don't have to be nasty, rude, disrespectful. You don't. And you should be honoring those who need to be honored in your life. And that's just, So, what parts of my lineage story must be remembered? The list: deliverances, miracles, breakthroughs, promises, and turning points. Why? Because these are all highlighted things that need to be remembered. And that's for all of us, like I said, I know that my grandmother had breast cancer. She survived, and my aunt did. Certain things we need to, you know what I'm saying? The good, the bad, whatever. We need to know. And that's, like they said, the deliverances, the miracles, the breakthroughs, the promises, and the turning points. Why idols still hide in my lineage? For example, fear, control, scarcity, people-pleasing, anxiety, trauma-based identity, cultural idols, family idols. And this is depending on how we live and what we're doing. Because like I said, the idols could be anything, people, places, and things. And so that's, we need to look into ourselves and what that look like for, specifically us. I know a lot with our generation, I would say when it comes to the men. Men have made an idol out of, sex, women, and money. And when we look at it, we see that's what they spend most of their time, money, and energy chasing after. It's not really about the family, the children, and that type of life. It's chasing their women, having sex with them, and that's supposed to be the badge or the identity that they're leaving behind, the inheritance, and it's not a good one either, because it leaves whoredoms, all these different spirits, all these different curses, STDs, all these type of things. So when we look at what people, cherish, what they worship, idolize, and adore, we see what that's like, and we see it based on what it is that they always, are chasing after. If all they want is some women, and if all they want is some, money, and all they want is some cars, or it just depends on, the fame and the fortune. It depends on what it is they're after. That's where their heart is. That's where their idols are. So name them so you can break them. What does choose to stay mean for me? What choices God require right now? So choose ye to stay, when it comes to me, is it my family? Is it my insanity? Is it my money? Is it whatever it is that I'm putting before God? I have to get rid of it because I have to put it in its rightful place. You see what I'm saying? It's not that you can't have it. Certain things you can't have, certain things you can, but you got to put it in its rightful place. What choices God requiring for me now? What memorials must I build? Meaning the things like the rituals, the declarations, practices, the boundaries, the teachings, the community structures must I build now within my own self, in my own family, in my own life. And of course, you have to start with yourself first because you can't go and do other things with other people until you have to deal with it yourself first. So the rituals of what? Am I still, hanging out and partying? Am I just, can I go out and have a good time? Yes. But do I have to do it in a different way? Yes. Declarations. What am I proclaiming over my life? Is it poverty? Is it blessings? Is it curses? What practices do I have? Am I practicing sinning or, habitually? Or am I practicing to live holy and righteous? What boundaries am I setting up for myself, for family, for friends, for everybody, people in my life? Why? Because we all need boundaries. Boundaries is, safe places for us, security, checkpoints to keep certain things out and to keep you safe and to keep you inside and safe from them and them safe from you. Also what teaches, what am I listening to? What am I hearing? What am I adhering to? Because everything and everybody is not just necessarily for me, what leadership transitions are actually, community structures. What do I want to see based off of my community? What is that about for me? What does that look like? I'm on here now trying to do something community-wise. I try to do, whether it's at work or wherever, the best that I can with whatever I can, however I can, So what leadership transitions are happening in my lineage? Who is passing the baton? What mantle is shifting? What era is closing? What era is beginning? When we look at these things, what are we seeing in our lives? What are we seeing in our children's lives? What are we seeing in our bloodlines and our families? And do we like what we see, honestly? Because a lot of times we don't. And that means there needs to be some changes made because things are, being passed down. But are they good things being passed down? We know it's going to be good and bad, but how much of it is healthy? How much of it is still the same old cycles of insanity, which is the dysfunction, hatred and, division, what is that looking like? Passing the baton, but passing the baton to do what? Passing the mantles to do what? What era is closing, what era is beginning. And we're looking around even at the world today and we're seeing what's going on. We see that we're going into an era where things are about to really get seriously hard. So, family is going to be what you're going to need because when they start taking these jobs away and food and money is short, don't think that you and your children having a place to stay, all these things. No, you're not going to be able to live alone and pay for your bills. You're going to have community, meaning your family. And this is what this is going to be looking like. So I hope folks have their own homes. I hope they have their own set of land. I hope they have their own certain things because if not, you are really going to run into a lot. If you're still renting, guess what? Rent goes up. Guess what? The price of gas, all these things go up. But 9 times out of 10, wages do not. So unless you're just going to be out here trying to work 3 or 4 jobs when they're getting rid of jobs, I don't know how that's going to work. Now, we walk by faith and not by sight. Exactly. We live up under the Lord. We know he's going to provide and protect, but we also need to be getting ready and paying attention to this next phase as to what is going on. We see what Trump and them are doing in the House, what they have basically, when it comes to black people, especially have taken away all the rights that Martin Luther King has given us, especially in the South. So for those of hope, those of people who are down there and who are experiencing these things on top of these tariffs, and then people who are ready to take all these plants and go back to their countries with them because it's costing them too much to bring the goods and stuff here, a lot of that stuff is going to be shutting down, closing down. A lot of things are going to be trickling. Why? There's eliminating middle class. There's going to be rich and there's going to be poor. And you're either going to fall up under one of those classes. And you must understand this is where bartering, this is the times like the Great Depression. You're going to need your family. You're going to need a safe place to be where all of you can work together to make ends meet to do things. It's not going to be an all I and me situation. So for all of those who are down there, pay attention. All of us who are up here in the north, it's going to be with these little smart cities they have us in. We're going to be locked down. They're going to be doing a lot of things with that as well. So we have to be paying attention and on guard with that as well. A lot of stuff is changing here as well. Okay, Joshua 24, miscommunication and idol breaking framework. Retell the story. Ground yourself in truth. Identity and identifying the idols. Okay. What competes with God in our lineage? This was what we were just talking about. And retelling the story, the truth. The truth is the truth. People add and pick and choose what is that is the narrative. But good and bad and ugly, speak the truth as the truth. What really happened and what did not. You see what I'm saying? And that's that. Make the choice. Covenant requires clarity. Establish a witness. Create something that marks the decision. Transition with honor. Bless what came before and carry what comes next. So when we're looking at these things, this is where we are. You know, like I said, a lot has been transpiring in this world. I myself, when I was on my little sabbatical, found out about a lot of stuff that I didn't know. Me and my dad was talking about some things the other day. And honey, it blew my mind that, you know, I know the Doja thing. I know they did the thing with the nurses and the degrees. And then here they go now with this new stuff. So we see what they're doing. We see what's going on. We know we're in the Latin days when the last times, you know, stuff is happening, stuff is coming forth, and we need to be ready and prepared. Joshua 24, Bronson nonprofit context application. We are lineage storyteller. You help communities remember who they are, where they come from, what God has done. This is Joshua's mantle. You are covenant challenger. You call people to choose justice, choose healing, choose identity, choose transformation. Yes, you are a choose this day voice. You break idols and systems. You confront scarcity mindsets, exploitation, generational trauma, institutional idols. This is priestly prophetic work. You build witnesses for future generations. Your framework is teachings and community structures are memorials, identity anchors, and lineage protectors. You steward generational transition. You help elders pass wisdom. Youth receive identity and community shift errors. You are a bridge between generations. That's where standing in the gap comes in. Integrated transformation arc. Phase 1 is remembering. Phase 2 is confronting. Remembering is recounting the story. This restores identity. Remember, we got to know who we are, what we are, and what we're doing. We can't run around here lying about stuff and then no, we got to tell the truth. We got to be honest and, you know, move forward. We got to confront things that need to be confronted. Expose what need to be exposed. And this is idols and false allegiances. This is what it is. This is, you gotta choose a clear covenant decision that is made. What we doing? Phase 4, witnessing. A memorial is established to protect the decision. Phase 5, transitioning. Leadership shifts. A new generation rises. And phase 6, securing the lineage that is anchored of the future. Okay? Why? Because we need to see these things being done. Like I said, what that looks like, God has already established them. He took them through the blueprint, which was taking them from bondage. They had nothing. They was being, you know, all these things happening. He delivered them. He promised them. He told them he was going to take them, put them somewhere wonderful, give them the land, do all these things and bless them. He did that. So he did. He established them community, law-wise, boundaries, where they supposed to live, you know, stay, how they're supposed to live and grow. Everything about them mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, spiritually. Why? Because these are rules and regulations. Now, we know folks don't like rules and regulations. This is how we get into a lot of trouble. We see it with ourselves. We see it with our own children. God, when it comes to God and us, it's the same thing. When we do not respect boundaries, when we're not obedient, we do what? We violate the rules, the boundaries. We violate them. And when we violate them, there's consequences and repercussions behind violating them. So then we go into the curse side, and instead of obedience to sacrifices and all of that we have to do to come back and, you know, get to God, meaning giving up things and doing right. But we're going to look into these idols because I wanted to look into some of them. I wanted to know which idols were there. And in particularly were the ones that they were, I'm waiting on this computer to load up because sometimes it is very slow. I'm finally able to get back in here and get stuff done because my internet was acting crazy. Oh, my eyes, I had a bunch of stuff going on. And I'm sweating, it's hot. Come on now, this thing is taking forever. Okay. Let me go back. Let me see if I can go because I need to get to this. This is really gonna kind of help. Do I have to open up another page? Give me 1 second. I'm trying to see. And I wanted to look at these idols because it makes a lot of sense when we see them. And we see them all the time. It's just that we don't pay them no mind. Hold on. Let me see. Oh, crap. I had a list of them because there's just like so many of them. Where is the list? You know what? I'm not gonna do it because I need more time. It's so many. I need time. I need time to investigate them, look them up, see the pictures, see all of that in order for me to and it's gonna take me some time, and I said I was gonna do it. But I know that we're going into Judges and we're gonna see some things going on with them as far as them going back. And I know what this was about. It had a lot to do with their minds as well, because this battle, it will be a back and forth battle when things are going, certain ways, when we don't get the things that we want in life, and when things don't go the way we thought, we do have, be angry and upset and have issues with the Lord about it, because we know that he's in charge, and we know that he can give and do when he's ready what he wants. And so when we see ourselves going through certain things, we know that he can either stop it or allow it. And for whatever reason, we do get angry, we do get upset, we don't like it, and we go through some things, because when certain things happen, we want to know why, we want to know what's going on. And God is faithful. We don't know, right now, maybe what it's all about. Usually in time, we gotta figure it out. Oh my God. See, this thing is taking up too much time. Okay, what I'm going to have to do is, that's why I like to look the stuff up ahead of time, but I had so much on the screen, I had to refresh it, and it's still refreshing. Okay, what I'm going to do now, because this is just getting to be too much. Yeah, this is getting to be too much. Okay. I'm going to end this one. And what I'll do is I'm going to end this one. This is Joshua chapter 24. And I'll do an intermission. So what I'll do is I'll look up the gods that he was specifically talking about during this time, the pictures and all the information. And what I'll do is I'll do, a brief, on the gods that they worship and what they look like, what they mean, all these type of things, and what they look like now. And then we'll go from there. So that way we can have some insight as to who those gods were, why God, judged and destroyed, why he, did things the way that he did things. And it was really to protect them from, themselves, of getting into things and opening up things that they themselves did not know, all of the information of what goes on with it. We think it's nothing to sin, to worship other gods, to have idols. When we open up all these other doors and we see that all these things is happening in our life, the calamity it brings, then we are upset and we're like, oh, how did we get here? But that's exactly how. So this is what this, is about. So we want to actually sit here and see what that's about. I feel like I got something in my eye. Okay, I'm going to end this one. We are bruised and not broken. This is Joshua chapter 24, which happens to actually be the last chapter, I believe. Yeah, this is the last chapter in this book. So we're going to be going into Judges 1. But before I do, like I said, so I hope that this word was a blessing to you guys. Like I said, I sit here, I try to create stuff that's going to be helpful to us all throughout our lives, or our day-to-day lives. Why? Because, we're living here. We want to walk the walk, with the Lord, of course. But what does that look like for us on a day-to-day basis, Because a lot of times people think that the walk with the Lord is an everyday, wonderful, high thing. No. Usually it's just like marriage or your job. It's slow, it's daily, it's boring. And until, something, and it's not to say it's like that. It is what it is. And then you have those occasional spurts here and there, but we are happy and thankful for the lives we had in the Lord, each and every day being saved and being whole. Don't get me wrong. But a lot of times people think, oh, folks are chosen, folks is this, folks is that, folks are saved, and every day is so eventful, every day is so wonderful. And a lot of times it's just regular everyday stuff, you know what I'm saying? And you're just living the everyday, and you want to know how to get through those every days, because you're going to have more of the everyday stuff than you're going to have those big, great moments, and that's just like, with your relationship with your spouse, with your family, with your friends. They, going to work is, normal, regular, everyday, schmegular stuff. And, until you get to that monumental time, because we tend to think everything is such a fairy tale all the time. And that's that, they call it the magical thinking. And we really have to get out of that magical thinking. Does God work? Yeah, he does work. He does miracles. He does that. Don't get me wrong. But every day is not a miracle day. You see what I'm saying? They were in the wilderness they was enslaved for 400 years, and then God decided to deliver them. Before they ever got to the Red Sea, they had so many regular schmegular days. You see what I'm saying? So it's like we have to pay attention to those things too. The uneventful times that we're just here. And it's not that it's uneventful. It's just like the seed growing. It's in the ground. We don't see nothing. It's there, but it's growing. And we just have to trust the God in the process. But I hope that this word was a blessing to you guys and your families. Like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. I am trying to get back and get better and get caught up because, like I said, I know my internet was acting up. When I'm on a little sabbatical, I needed my time. Stuff going on in this world. I need to be getting my own life together. And for all of you out there, I would tell you, you better be getting your lives together. This party and hanging out is wonderful, but guess what? Stuff is about to really hit the fan. Yes, we're going to trust in God. Yes, we're going to, but we also need to be, getting other things situated right here. The things that God calls us to get ready, our houses in order, our children, our families, all of these things in order. I would say to the people who already have, certain things in place, you have a head start. Because if you already own your own land, if you already have your own, homes, and you could grow your own food and different things, that is a great, wonderful blessing and start. Why? Because for those people who do not, we're going to start seeing a lot of stuff. And we thought homelessness and stuff was bad before. Violence going up and all these different things, it's going to be a lot. And I'm not saying it to say it like that, but we know that it's coming because the Bible speaks of it. So you must be in preparation, planning to cut back on your spending, to start saving, to do other things. Why? Because this is going to be the time where you're going to need that extra cash for just in case things and all this type of stuff, and all of that splurging and excess, everything. You're going to wish you had that money, that funds, that time to get things together when things do finally hit the fan in your life, whatever that may be. Some people will be the job. Some people will be people, get sick or die, or, it's different things. And I'm not saying it to speak it, but I'm just saying we know that things are coming. So we want to start preparing, whether that means investing, starting your own businesses. Like I said, having your own home, because unlike, rent, mortgages usually stay the same if you have 30-year fix. So the rents don't go up, the mortgages, usually they stay the same. Now the insurance may go up and other stuff, but usually the mortgages stay the same depending on what kind you have. So, people talk about renting as opposed to owning. This is where the big thing with that is, because usually the mortgage stays the same. And when it comes, I don't know about anybody but mine did. I was at a 30-year fix when I had one. And this was the reason why behind doing certain things. You want to have your own place, because when the kids and when things are going wrong, someone needs to have that place for someone to come home to. Why? So everybody's not scattered and on the street. Folks can't pay their rent. Folks can't do this. And then everybody just, if nobody is stable, no one can help anybody. Everyone. And this is why when we look at our families and I talk about leaving legacies of inheritance and blessings instead of curses, meaning leaving homes, leaving finances, leaving something. And then it's like I see in our generation before us, although they had the most, a lot of them were very selfish, and they did not plan. They did not leave. They were chasing their idols. They were chasing men and women. They were chasing sex. They were chasing fame and money and fortune and the illusion and delusion of living this wonderful high life and high. But in all actuality, that's not what was going on, because when you look at the situation now and what was actually going on all this time, they have absolutely nothing. And when you look at your life and you done worked, 20, 30 years and, you had, let's say, good credit, or you had a home and you had this, what were you doing all this time? If you're not set up, if you don't have anything put away, if you don't have anything invested worthwhile in, if you don't have a home that you're about to pay off, what do you have really going on with your life besides a whole bunch of shoes, a whole bunch of party, a whole bunch of clothes, a whole bunch of pictures from places you done been? Was it really worth it? A whole bunch of Coach bags and this, that, and the third. Come on now, was it really worth it? Because when these times, that's going to hit come, you can't sell those things and really make money. But if the homes, the cars, the things that's worth something, you can refinance, you could do other things, you could start a business, you could use it for capital. This is why I tell, people, be wisely with what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? I myself went through that, and that's why I wanted, to have a home, to have certain things, because I saw the value of it. You see what I'm saying? Long term, not just for today, right now, for me to have long term. You know, I wanted my kids to have a place to come home to if life got rough and hard. Would they have to go to a shelter, or could they come home and live with their mother, you know, so they get their life together? See, these are the things that we don't have. Usually we don't want to live with each other. We don't take care of each other. We don't take the time out to be there for each other. And then that becomes a problem. This is where the loyalty, the trust, the love, all of these things come in at. Why? Because, you know, when you're up and when you're down, it's going to be the two times you're going to see people and I tell people all the time, their true colors in you. When you're down, you're going to see how they love you or don't love you. When you're up, you're going to see the same. And you're going to see the difference as to who in the vicinities and what they're doing. So just pay attention and, you know, be on guard as to what is going on, because, you know, and people value different things. You know, they may not value, you know, certain things, and that's fine. But that's how I said, at this point in time, when you're getting to a certain age level, like me, myself, I say this especially for the women. Because once you get to a certain level in life, you know, no one's coming to save you. Or actually, I've always known that. No one's coming to save me when I say that God is a savior, Jesus is a savior. Yes, but I mean on this earth, no one's coming to physically come and save you and fix all of your stuff. So you have to be self-sufficient. You have to be able to take care, maintain yourself to whatever degree that is. I'm not going to say you have to be rich, because, you know, that's neither here or there. It can happen, it could not happen. But what I'm saying is to maintain yourself and to not have to beg and ask anybody for anything. This is where we always want to be. We want to be loving ourselves and taking care of ourselves first and foremost. And that's inner care as well as outer care, because we always want to see the outer. But the inner is so important, because without the inner you know what I'm saying, everything else is just shell. And that's just that. So the inner you is loving yourself, taking care of yourself, you know, mentally, you know, letting God show you how to love yourself and heal yourself, and to be with yourself and be alone. Why? Because being with people, places, and things all of the time that don't love you, don't care about you, or just disregard you is not good places and spaces to be in. You have to be able to be by yourself to love yourself. You know, we talk about codependency, love being a choice, getting, you know, healed from the soul wounds and all these things, getting our hopes up. This is what this looks like. You know, getting somewhere, getting by yourself and saying, guess what? I don't, you know, if nobody come visit me, if nobody calls me, if nobody cares, I'm going to love and care for me. I'm going to take care of me. I'm going to get up and show up for me. I'm going to, you know, allow God to love me and show me how to love myself on a day-to-day basis. I'm going to prepare for my next step. I know where I was, I know where I am, and I'm preparing for where I'm going, you know, in life and on this world. You know, I want to make sure that when I leave here, no one has to, you know, do anything for me. You know, as far as me leaving behind anything, it just depends on how we were in life. You know, if we weren't that great, don't expect me to leave you nothing. Because if we weren't good in life, I'm not leaving you nothing in my death. Why would I? Why should I? You know, we talk about the parents and the this, that, and the third, and who stayed and who different. We talk about a lot of things, you know, but and the children and this, that, and the third, and we talk about all of these things, but we got to talk about taking care of ourselves in spite of and in regardless too. And that means, you know, letting go of the things that are no good for us, you know, that do not mean us any well-being or any good. We got to let them go. We love them. We got to move on. And we got to, you know, save ourselves, meaning protect ourselves, if nothing else, to care for and love ourselves. Like I said, Mother's Day, I went and bought my own son some flowers. You know, learn to take yourself out on dates. Learn to go out and eat alone from time to time. Wine and dine yourself. Love yourself. You know, do things for yourself. Get dressed. Take trips. Go on vacations by yourself sometimes. Sometimes you have to do that. Get away by yourself if nobody goes. You want to see a Broadway show. You know, go and do these things by yourself. You want to work out. Do it alone. Sometimes that's the only way you're going to do it or be able to do it. Because you can't wait around on people, you know, to do these things. You can't wait for them to be ready or want to. No, you if you have the finances, you have the whatever, and this is what you want to do, you go and do that for yourself. You don't wait around for people, their approval, their claps, their nod. You know, like I said, because people be happy, they won't, whatever it is. You make up your mind that this is what you want to do. You stay consistent, you take your time, and you do it for yourself, whatever that may be for you. It's not about everybody else. It's not about competition, comparison. It's about what is important to you. What do you want? Why are you here? What do you like? And you ask God to help you and show you, you know, what it is that is pleasing to him, that he wants you to have and use you in all these things. So, like, share, comment, subscribe to the channel. We are Bruised and Not Broken always. To my girl, Breeda Experience, I know you out there on TikTok. You have been going through some things, girl. You have been on my mind because, honey, I know what that's like. I've been into that several times. It is not easy. It is not easy. Baby girl, I pray for you and your children. I hate to see, you going through such horrific of times, and it's no reason for you don't have to. You got kids' fathers, you got family friends, somebody that could come and help you, and it's sad that it has to get to that point where you're there and you're going through all these things. But God is with you, baby, and be blessed. And I'm going to pray for you and your family. I know you have mental health issues, and mental health issues when you're going through a lot of that type of stuff, it's easy to have, baby. Just understand that, because I done been there and I done done it as well. Just hold on to the Lord and ask him to help you. And I know that even that sometimes looks scary. And he'll send you the people, places, and things you need at the time you need it, and he himself will be that rock for you. But like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Like I said, my girl Breeder Experience, she's going through some things. She's on TikTok. I know she had her car repoed. She just got laid off. She does have issues with mental health and with these type of things. She has 2 children. They're kind of small, and she's going through some things. She's in New Jersey. And please, if you have a few dollars, send it over there to her to help be a blessing to her, because, it's not just her, it's her children that are going through these things, because however she is, they are. And it's sad that the daddies is taking her through so much and all that. And this is what happens with us, especially as women and as Black women. And I hate that for us. So if you could go over to her TikTok channel, she has some stuff going on. You can be a blessing to her. Like I said, I ask for people to be a blessing to me on my channel, and whether they do or they don't, but I'm going to refer you to be a blessing to her, and I'm going to ask that you do that instead of sending it here, because she needs it more than I do right about now. So yes, I am in a place, although I'm not where I want to be. I am stable. She's going through a lot. She does need it. She needs the help. She needs the concern. She needs the love. She needs the finances to help her get back on her feet. So if you can be a blessing to her, please do so. Like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. I don't like to mention people's name, but I know she's on there, and I know she can use it. I'm not here to bash her or make her look bad. It is not about mental health issues. It's to help her, okay? Because we can all be there. We will be there eventually, and I'm not saying it like that, but eventually it's going to come to, things going to be going on later on. May not be right today or tomorrow, and I'm not saying it to say it like that, but I'm just saying that I know with the way that this world is going, it speaks in the Bible how things are going to be going, and it's talking about there not being enough food. They're talking about the gas prices and all these things. So it can be us. We're one paycheck away from being exactly where she is right now. Okay. And we don't want to take lightly and make fun of these type of situations, because it's nothing to laugh at. It's nothing to glow over. It's nothing to be happy and cracking a smile about. And this is what I don't like when I see stuff like that, because people will be, all over her, and she's doing the best that she can to keep it together on top of, the mental health. So like, share, comment, and subscribe. If you would like, please go to TikTok. Look up Bree The Experience. She's on there. She has a story. She's talking about what is going on in her life for her children, and she's going through a very tough time right now. But in Jesus' name, be blessed. In Jesus' name, like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Bruised and Not Broken. Amen.